Hey guys, it's Rick. How's it going? I've been getting a lot of feedback to do a side deck video for Speed Duel, so I'm going to do that right now. I have a few cards picked out. There are a lot of folks, like I mentioned in previous videos, that are kind of new to Speed Duel with the release of Duel Academy. That box came out in April, and there's a Remote Duel Extravaganza at the time of this video coming out. It's coming up really soon. I think it's the first one of 2022. There's a Speed Duel main event, so some folks are pretty excited to play in that. And I'm just trying to put out some stuff to help folks that might not be too familiar with the format, or at least where it is now, with like Battle City and Duel Academy, and trying to find some good side deck cards, because some people aren't going to do that much research and just kind of throw stuff in. So this video, the point of this video is, if you don't know what the heck to put in your side deck at all, here are 5 kind of like pretty much catch-all cards you could put in a side deck. Obviously, there's going to be some specific decks that you want to side specific things, but it's like, if you don't want to do that research and you're like, whatever, I'm just going to put something in there that's going to combat kind of the general meta, this is going to be it. This is going to be the video for you. So I have 5 cards, top 5, but I have 2 honorable mentions, so I guess 7 cards. The side deck is 6 cards in Speed Duel. And there's some of these where you want to run like 2 copies in a side. So really just pick and choose what you think is going to work for you, what's best, what looks more fun, if you want to shuffle it around in your deck. I'm going to start with honorable mentions. I have Straight Flush here on the screen already. Straight Flush it came out in Duel Academy, and it's pretty situational. There's a lot of good traps in back row, and we're seeing kind of tier 2 right now is Stall and Burn. So there's going to be a lot of traps like Zoma, Nightmare Wheel, Wall of Disruption, Floodgate Trap Hole. There are a lot of good ones out there. There's also a deck that came about in Duel Academy, the Crystal Beast deck, and they usually have a heavy back row because they're putting all the beasts in the back row. So this is a card that's pretty situational. If you notice your opponent's setting a lot, it's huge value for the card. You got to have, so there has to be a card in all the spell trap zones. And that could be like, in Speed Duel, it's only 3, right? In Duel Links, it's only 3. So there's a better chance you're going to get Straight Flush activated here, because in traditional Yu-Gi-Oh! It's 5, and that's more difficult to pull off. But in Speed Duel, it's a little easier. So you can have an opponent that has 2 cards in the back row, and then they put down Parasite Paranoid like they're playing Moth, or they activate Summoner's Art to get Claw Solus, right, for spell proof. That allows you to activate Straight Flush. You're getting rid of 2 cards for 1, or 3 cards for 1, depending on what they set and put in. Very situational, not always going to happen, but really good. Can really turn around board control if you manage to get this off. So Straight Flush is a great one. That came out in Duel Academy. That's a great one to look at. Other honorable mention is going to be Jinzo. Look, it's a great card in this format. Traps are running rampant, and regardless of what you're playing, you might want to just put Jinzo in the side, really. I can't think of a deck where it doesn't work to like just splash a Jinzo. You can always tribute for it, and it usually always has value with traps. The only reason I would say not to use it is if you're trap heavy yourself. You're Stall Burn, you're utilizing a lot of trap monsters, things like that. You could really screw yourself that way. So, but for a lot of other decks, Jinzo is a good call. Just something that's like, I don't know what's, I need to get around all these traps. I don't know what to do about it. Jinzo, splash that in, see if it works for you. So those are 2 honorable mentions, and now we'll go into top 5. So these are in order, in my opinion. So YouTube comments, be ready. You can flame me, you can say yes, say no, whatever you want. Thumbs up, thumbs down. This is in order. Top 5, my personal top 5 side deck cards right now that I think are going to be very useful for anybody that's kind of getting in and just want to put stuff in the side. Number 5. It's going to be Waking the Dragon. Waking the Dragon came out in 2019 in Trials of Kingdom. It was like December 2019. And there's only been more and more back row hate that's come about. Breaker came out. We have Cosmic Cyclone now. People still use Night Beam. So there's a lot of back row hate and opportunities to pop back row. Waking the Dragon's a great one to side in. Your opponent's not expecting it. It can really turn the game around. I've seen games won just because Waking the Dragon happens like turn 2. You're getting out like Arcana Knight Joker, Blue Eyes Ultimate, Thousand Eyes Restrict. There's so many other fusions. Cyber End Dragon, there's so many other good fusions that have been added in the past year or 2, where Waking the Dragon is really going to work for you. It even works in Spellproof now because you got Cyber End Dragon, so it still kind of works that way. So it's viable in every deck. And if you notice that your opponent's really targeting your back row a lot, there's a lot of breakers. For example, Waking the Dragon's going to be a great way to turn it around. It's like the kind of card where you can like side it in game 2, but then side it out game 3, so then they're afraid to pop stuff if it triggers, and then just like mess with them that way. So Waking the Dragon, number 5. That's always been a good one. Number 4, going to be Mind Crush. This one's fun. This is a really fun one to use. There are a number of decks in Speed Duel right now where you're searching for something. So if you have Mind Crush, it's an easy target. You're not taking a gamble because you have to have a card in your hand as collateral. So you can't cast this or you can't activate this when you have no cards in hand. So you gotta have one card as collateral, but you're calling a card. If it's in the opponent's hand, they have to discard it. If they don't, then you have to discard your random card, so you need at least one. But there are a number of examples in Speed Duel where this is kind of like a surefire hit. What do I have written down? I have Summoner's Art for Spell Performer, getting Claw Solus. You can hit Claw Solus. XYZ, Union Scramble, getting a piece X, Y, or Z from the banished back into the hand, you hit that. Cyber Angels, new to the format through Duel Academy, you got the Machine Angel Ritual, and really anything with Ritual Ceremony or pre-prep, anything like Relinquished, you're playing a deck like that where you're getting like ritual spells and ritual monsters, easy hit. So it actually hits a lot of decks. There are also some decks where it's like you can kind of take the gamble and you like assume, like Dragoon and Moth, if you notice that your opponent kind of has a pretty full hand a lot of the time, and they're not really moving, you can assume they might have a Bricked Moth or a Dogma or a Plasma. It's a little risky. But there are a number of decks where you're like searching for something actively, so you can just hit it with Mind Crush on the side. So that's a good one. That's number 4. Number 3. Gonna be the Nobleman Crossout. This one is really just, it doesn't matter if it's a flip. It's just great removal. And with Book of Moon and Floodgate, you're flipping so many things down now that Nobleman Crossout is just fantastic. You just destroy the target. If it's a flip, you're going to banish it, and then like you got to find all the flips in the deck and banish them all. That's how Nobleman works. And there are a couple cards where that is going to happen, like Maneater Bug. People still use that. Old Vindictive Magician, really the flips to destroy stuff. Those are kind of the big ones that people use. There are a couple really niche ones, like Night Assailant, I think is a flip. I think it's a flip. Morphine Jar, is that a flip? I think so. But most of the time, you're just going to like destroy something after you flip it down with Book of Moon, Floodgate, or even, you know, your opponent might just set, right? Nobleman Crossout's a great side. If you notice your opponent's setting a lot, it doesn't have to necessarily be a flip monster, just good removal right there. So Nobleman Crossout's a good side. We see that pretty successful. Number 2. It's going to be Cosmic Cyclone, back row hate. So Awaken the Dragon kind of plays well because people are going to side this card if they're not maining it already. Cosmic Cyclone's really good, really just because Moth is still around. So Parasite Paranoid, if you're Cosmic Cycloning this, you're paying 1,000, but you're banishing it. It doesn't get sent to grave, so they can't get the Moth from hand, and you deny them the ability to shuffle Parasite back because it's banished. So Cosmic Cyclone's a pretty good one. That's my number 2. It's also just good for general back row hate. Like, you got to get rid of that Nightmare Wheel that's killing you. You want to hit that Wall of Disruption or whatever that last face down is before you have total control of the board. Cosmic Cyclone, quick play spell. It's just a good card. That's the back row hate of choice, depending on like just kind of all decks across the board. And number 1, D-Fusion. D-Fusion's number 1 is struggled to say if this was number 1 because it doesn't work against every deck, obviously. But I could say there are 2, probably 3, but 2 decks that come to my mind that you're going to play against pretty consistently. XYZ and Dragoon. Maybe Thousand Eyes Restrict, but probably not. XYZ and Dragoon, people are going to play that a lot. And I swear, like every side deck I see when I get deck lists for my weekly events, Defuse is in there. And even if we don't see XYZ for weeks, people still have Defuse in there, or Dragoon. Or, you know, you could even Defuse Waking the Dragon. You know, whatever you want to do. You return the target to the extra deck. Then, you know, if the fusion materials are used for its summon in your graveyard, you can special summon them. So it's like, if you do it on your opponent, you're fine. No one's going to get anything back. So you just Defuse that XYZ that came out. They recently kind of changed the ruling on skills. And by recently, I mean like almost a year ago at this point, where you can kind of react to like XYZ Dragon Cannon coming out. So you can defuse that pretty quickly. And in response to the summon, same with like Fusion Party, which is a skill used to typically get out Dragoon, Defusion. So Defusion is probably the hardest, just like stop dead in its tracks. It stops the deck super hard and like pretty much wins you the game. XYZ can bounce back from that. They might get a second thing out, but just side usually 2 Defusion here for that. So that's the side deck if you want to like just not do any research and just watch a video. This is hopefully this is helpful. These 7 cards, like I said, side deck is 6. If I was playing a deck, like say I was playing Spell Performer, I'd probably put in 2 Defuse, Awaken the Dragon, I don't need Jinzo, Nobleman Crossout, Cosmic Cyclone, something like that. If I was playing Moth, maybe I'm putting in still Defuse, maybe Jinzo right there, Awaken the Dragon, straight flush. I don't know. Anything you want to do, but there's some choices here. Obviously, if you want to do more research around decks and monsters and types specific to your deck, go for it. If your deck feels like, you know, you're splashing I don't know, an Ojama or yellow, and you think you need 2, maybe you put the second one on the side, just like stuff like that. Obviously, use your brain, but here are some good catch-alls. pretty much on whatever your deck you're using. So hopefully this is helpful, and hopefully this answers some questions that folks were having about the side deck. Really, some people were seeming kind of lost there. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, feel free to hit the like button. I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.